About to get my cinema stash rehash on.
Let's go!
What?
Hey, Merry Christmas, all you podcast listeners out there. Thanks for coming back to the CSR podcast, Cinema Stash Rehash. My name is Chris. I'm here with Wyatt Campbell.
Jingle fucking bells, people.
And Jason McClendon.
Hello to all of that.
And Merry Christmas, you guys. Of course, for a Christmas movie, we didn't want to pick some silly movie like The Grinch or... I don't know, that's actually like the movie. But some weird
Christmas story or
we went
some
an
shit
actual
like that.
Christmas movie, one of my favorites, and it's called Gremlins.
Yes.
It's a logical Christmas movie, and I think it's a good movie for us to start our first Christmas podcast with.
Yes.
Maybe next year we'll delve more into the more plain Christmas movies. But this one right here, I thought was a good one to start with, and I wanted to know what you guys thought about it, and we'll see what the people out there think about it as well.
Well, first of all, rolling into what is it called? Kingdom Falls. Is that what the name of this town is?
Oh, no, that sounds familiar. I actually didn't write that down. I don't remember.
It's like either Kingdom or King's Falls. Either or. I knew right away that this is the Universal lot where Back to the Future was filmed.
Yeah,
Hell yes.
You can
Yeah,
tell
you
pretty
can see
close to the beginning that it's...
So I was like, oh
used.
shit, is this an alternate universe? No, I don't want to get into that. But anyway, like this movie, I hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it in a long time.
No, same with me.
So it was pretty cool, like seeing all that, and like the whole billboard scene with what is it?
Rockin' Ricky.
Rockin' Ricky.
Yeah, as the Indiana Jones.
Whipping out the oldies. I was like, that sounds weird.
No,
but great movie. I love it.
No, I mean, to me, I actually forgot so much about this movie, and it was kind of ridiculous. I mean, I don't remember, the whole his Randall Peltzer like narrating at all.
Yeah.
Like for some reason, like that didn't stick out to me.
And he is a great narrator too.
I mean, his voice is just perfect.
Yeah. What Hoyt?
Because as soon as the movie starts with him narrating it, it had me pulled in. That whole first scene with the old Chinese man.
Oh yeah.
And the young kid and the singing of the gremlin. It was.
Yeah, I felt like as soon as like they walked into that store, I felt like Jack Sparrow could walk through the door. I mean, that whole it just felt like very piratey. I mean, even though it's not piratey at all, but I mean,
it had that Goonies glow.
Singapore. That's what. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Spielberg-esque for sure.
Oh well, yeah, the whole thing.
We had Spielberg. You had Chris Columbus.
It's all the script was by Chris Columbus.
You even had that little guy in there that we love so much.
You mean that Feldman?
Good old
Feldman kid?
Man.
Oh yeah.
That we tend to do. Is that his name in the movie?
Dick Miller?
Oh no, Feldman. We're talking
Feldman.
about. Yeah, it's nice
Feldman.
to have. Dick Miller, yes, Futterman, but yeah.
Yeah.
It feels good to have Feldman back on the whole cast again.
Well, yeah, this is the Feldman podcast.
Yeah, apparently, and Spielberg and shit, we're doing it again.
This is a weird time in movies. I don't know. Was this 84?
It was like when Spielberg was on his heyday. I mean,
this is when a PG
everything
movie
was a Spielberg movie.
It came out in 92.
This is when a PG movie you could have.
No, this is PG-13. Oh no,
this is the last one.
This was actually you just said that. This movie and Indiana Jones that came out the same year was the catalyst for doing the PG-13 rating.
Yeah, because
it was too violent or something. So
they're not violent enough to be R. But
exactly.
It's weird because I remember watching it now. I remember it being a lot more violent than it was. I thought a lot more people died
in Gremlins.
Yeah. It didn't seem like a lot of human beings died in that movie, as far as I remember.
Well, there's like 3, I think, that actually died.
What's the body count? 3?
the
Futtermans don't die.
Well, the Futtermans die, yeah. They get...
No, they're in 2, the new batch. At the end, actually...
we're not talking sequels already, bro.
No, but at the end, somebody you can hear somebody in the background say, like, I'm going to go visit the Futtermans in the hospital.
Oh, I thought they got killed by the one thing he loves the most, the Kentucky Harvester.
Yeah.
I thought he got killed by the Kentucky Harvester.
Murray Futterman, hater of all things foreign.
And foreign TV.
Oh, now.
I told you we should have got a Zenith.
Yo, God, yes. Should have got a Zenith.
Should have got a Zenith.
How was this? This is post Stand By Me or pre Stand? I couldn't tell by his age in the movie.
This is pre. I think Stand By Me.
He looked pretty young, right?
Stand By Me.
Yeah, I think that's 86 or 7 for Stand By Me.
I want to say this might be the first movie Corey Feldman ever did. I don't know that, but I remember we talked about Poltergeist, and he was supposed to be in that, but he didn't.
And that was in
82,
I believe.
82, maybe.
I want to say it's 82. Don't quote me, sorry. Yeah, I don't think this was the first, but I mean, it was probably damn close. Because he looked like the youngest that I've seen him in anything that we've seen him so far, so it could have been.
We tend to like movies with him in it. Also, going back on earlier, why it's Kingston Falls is the name of the
Falls.
City. And like, you definitely can tell it's a set that they like to use a lot as far as those couple directors go. With that said, so you get in the movie, you get the crazy cool good opening scene with the Chinese man and the good music, and it puts you right into the sense of it, and then it opens up with this kind of I would say an innocent character of the main
Billy.
And of course Phoebe Cates, which is one of my favorites, one of my old favorites.
What does Jason love? Boobs. And what do we love her from? Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Right. The red bikini.
Showing the boobies. I mean, obviously there wasn't any.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's her moment. I think is most guys at least remember that.
Yeah, I really felt Billy was just like wholesome and naive as fuck.
Yes.
Like in a way that it's like he's just inexperienced.
He kind of had the same feeling as like the main character of the Last Starfighter to me. Like he was kind of like an innocent, kind of dumb character, but I liked Billy in the movie, in the role, as far as for some reason he was believable as far as when he got the Gremlins. When he first got the Mogwai, I enjoyed him as an actor as far as his
reaction.
Delivery with reactions with the Mogwai, because they were adorable. I instantly wanted one.
Yeah.
Yes.
And watching it,
I had one instantly. Of each. I had the cute and cuddly and Stripe himself.
Although I couldn't not see how their the nose would pulsate in and out. That was like one of the animatronics is like the nose would go back and forth. It really like, I hadn't seen this movie in a long time. I'm like, man, their noses are really wet and they keep sucking in and going out.
There was a lot of sucking in and going out in that whole movie. Even with like the eggs when they're the
sacs.
Yeah, and like shit's just good
sound effect.
Yeah,
when there's like little gremlins inside going like.
Some of them could kind of talk. Some of them had some could speak and some couldn't, and then.
No, I actually really loved the Gremlin sound. It was like a lot of snarling, and I mean, originally they didn't have anything, and like everything they would repeat would be from like shit they heard on the movies and stuff like that on TV.
I heard originally before they got the budget to do animatronics, they were going to do monkeys with suits on as the Gremlins.
Right, there's no way that could work.
No. I mean, well, I guess it was mostly because the monkey flipped out when they put the gremlin suit on it.
Yeah, you would have to edit out a lot of sound, because a lot of them going, because they're all just jumping around freakish like. So I mean, that would work out very well.
Now, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's crazy though. I mean, and they were like, each one of those gremlins cost like $30,000 to $40,000.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that shit? I'm like, even at the end of like all the movies, like every day all the security guards would check everybody's trunk because they didn't want to make sure that shit was stolen.
I don't blame them.
Yeah. $30,000 or $40,000 per gremlin.
Those are good animatronics back in the 80s too. So I mean, there was a decent animatronics for how much they had to do.
This movie scared the shit out of me for wanting to open cupboards, like every time.
I remember being so much gnarlier. Is the second one a lot gnarlier than this one?
Well, I mean, like, what do you mean gnarly?
As far as I remember,
this one's gnarly as hell.
I was like, number two is more comedic.
My favorite scene in the movie, if we're gonna do this already, my favorite scene in the movie is when his mom, which character you guys know?
When she kills a couple of them in the kitchen.
In like 2 minutes.
The awesome fight
like
scene where she realizes that these things are not good.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? She finds out to herself she's the only one that I don't know if I trust these things.
Yeah.
And then the one thing I don't get about the movie, which she does, and so I wanted to point this out, is that she actually attacks the Gremlins.
Yeah,
like, right away
with a knife. She runs towards the Gremlins, stabs him in the face with the knife. She throws him in the microwave, turns it on, blows him up.
Blends
cool stuff,
one.
right?
I mean, fuck.
The rest of the movie, I don't understand. Everyone just stands there and gets thrown stuff at them, or gets spit on, or gets it's shot with a bow and arrow or whatever. All you have to do is just walk up on these Gremlins and just kick them or something.
Yeah, dude, that was hilarious.
Yeah, so there's just I liked it started off great as far as it goes, and then it gets really weird. It gets to be really weird, like a weird movie.
I can't believe how many people in this town are just like passive. Like that's what we're talking about right here. Like, Billy's mom realizes these, and I would say like maybe like the Futtermans were like, he was super suspicious, but it seems like everybody else who sees these things is oh my god, these, like when Kate is serving them beer, like
dude. And popcorn.
What are you doing? You know, like why
are you there?
Why are you there?
Yeah, they're not paying you. Like, why? If you saw those, why would you be there?
That's what I thought when I saw that. It was like, and she stayed.
Like if they were
like they just like, can you imagine Gremlins just pouring through the door?
She
and you're
was
like
trying to make them like happy.
Well,
like,
I chose to believe that they were making her stay there, and the only reason she got out is because she realized they were afraid of, I guess, light, even though she lit a match, so it could have been fire. I don't know.
No, I think they literally had a really tough day of like raping and pillaging, and they needed a fucking beer.
What are the Gremlins raping?
Everybody? I don't know. Eating and raping? I don't know.
So in my opinion, not that I'm better than Spielberg, but in my opinion, they should have had a female gremlin behind the bar bartending. Because the Phoebe Cates didn't make sense that she's behind the bar bartending.
You're talking new batch type of script writing.
Yeah, that's
there.
very new batch for sure.
You know,
new batch all the way.
There was just interesting things that they decided to do. The whole montage in that bar was such a weird. These gremlins are so strange.
But I love that. I love that.
And I liked it too.
It shows the personality of like they're not all the same. They're completely different. Like the dude, like that dude that's just like smoking.
I always like
blues dude.
He was saying the dooby dooby doo.
Yeah.
Dooby dooby doo.
I was always creeped out by that one that had has the ski mask on. That's a horrible stormtrooper shooter.
Oh shit! Yeah, I forgot about him.
Gun. Like how?
But I didn't get the jollies that they apparently got from electrocution. Like they would stick their hands and it'd be like in like weird like sockets, and they would like electrocute themselves.
Oh yeah.
You never,
no, he did a couple times.
Yeah, like at least twice. You know, and I'm sitting there, what is the joy there? I mean, they clearly like the shock value. I don't know.
Mogwai in Cantonese is demon or
shit.
I mean,
do you think that I was trying to realize or understand why he was an inventor. Do you think he was an inventor because he had to have all these weird, crazy machines around to kill like two?
You mean a shitty inventor?
Yeah. Why was he? Why do they add in movies in general? Why do they add weird stuff that has nothing to do with anything at all in the movie? Like,
see, but okay, I disagree with that because I loved that comedy aspect of it because it was so fun. I mean, every time that one of his gizmos and gadgets like malfunctioned, it provided a good comedy relief to me, and that sound that indicated that it went shitty.
Yeah,
that was all
true. The only thing
it was like every time. So I mean, it was like, okay, so where was the laughs going to be? So why don't we make him a shitty ass inventor? And then everything that he invents,
I feel like the entire thing was for comic relief.
Oh, completely. I mean, everything, like every single thing he invented didn't work.
I mean, that's true now that you think about it. But I thought the sole purpose was just to give him a reason to be in the Chinese shop to begin with, to try to sell someone something. No, but then there's so many different ways I don't know.
But think about it this way: he delivers the chaos and then bounces.
Yeah.
You know, he like delivers the gremlin. They all go to shit. He's in a different fucking city.
That's true. It had nothing to do with it. He was telling the story, though, so it might not even be a real story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a Christmas story. You never know.
This is what they told me when I got back.
Yeah, he had no idea what happened.
He showed up right at the end when Stripe falls and he's all melted from the sun, and that's it.
Which, by the way, I mean, okay. Like, not to jump to the end of the movie, but that, like, he's on his way home, and he's like, "Oh shit, I gotta go to the hardware store or whatever the fuck they are," you know. And he like strolls into the back, you know.
It was because his dog jumped out of the window and ran into the department store. Barney was with him. I
didn't catch that either. So
still, it was just like, and it's not even like he's like, "Hey Billy, holy fuck, what the fuck? What is going on here? What I mean, like, why are we watching this thing melt in front of you? Like,
and you're driving up, and it's like a ghost town, like nobody's there anymore. And I thought that was hilarious because you know the whole relationship between Kate and Billy was just a weird relationship. I mean, the whole first time you see them interact together, they talk about nothing but terrible shit. Like they talk suicide, being a leper, and all that shit in their first exchange.
She had a terrible life, man.
Yeah.
Her story was just, wow, man.
I was like,
they add some crazy stuff. Like, why was that in the movie?
I don't know.
It was so fucking dark.
That's where I was going. I'm like,
the backstory of Phoebe Cates in that movie is just nuts. Like, why?
Yeah, it's like,
what is the purpose?
I don't know.
Because at the end of the movie, is she all like, wow, yeah, like I
do like Christmas now. Hate Christmas. Somebody has to hate Christmas.
But-
It can't
but
be a
now-
Christmas movie and everybody love Christmas.
But we have to make it the worst fucking story on this planet for her day Christmas. It can't be because she's born on the day after Christmas and she's like having
I feel
like, oh, I don't get birthday presents.
My,
I feel like-
my dad dressed up as Santa. He fell down the Christmas tree. He broke his neck, and that's how I learned Santa wasn't real.
Yeah.
And then I cried for 3 minutes.
Whole exchange was like
Let's
just
not forget about
so
the smells.
terrible.
It was the
Oh, yeah.
smell that drew us in there.
Yeah. God, it's terrible. Like
But
what? That's like, gosh. There was a couple things in that movie I was like, man, I can't understand.
Yeah. And I always thought it was weird that, like after they left the bank and you get that weird story and like before they went in there, everyone's running around like crazy. They've got gremlins on them and shit. And like they leave the bank and the first thing they say is, "Where are the gremlins?" Be like, "Where are the people?"
Yeah.
They're just like gone. It's like a ghost town. There's nobody anywhere and nobody references anything. And it's just like,
Well, it's such a small town. I'm like,
Where are the gremlins?
Why is Billy even bothering with trying to start his car when he can? I mean, it literally took him like
2 minutes to walk.
Yeah. And they didn't like.
Yeah, he got there on time. He's like, I'm literally already late. So it's like, oh, you got here just on time. Like, how is that even mathematically possible?
Like he spent way too much time.
It took you 5 minutes trying to start that car when you'd already been at work. I'm pretty sure the bank was at his house, so
Yeah, well,
it was pretty close. It had
Okay,
to been close.
so now that the bank's on topic, let's talk about the perceived villain, Mrs. Deagle.
Mrs. Deagle.
Because I guess there has to be a villain other than the Gremlins. Which is
that's-
another reason
okay.
I don't understand
She's
why
the
she was in the
town's
movie.
gremlin.
Well, and another reason I don't understand why they had to have Kate's like a horrific story about Christmas when you already have like a Scrooge in
Totally.
Mrs. Deagle. It's
Exactly.
like, you don't need somebody to like be an antagonist towards Christmas. Like
Yeah,
that's a main character.
Exactly.
You got Mrs. Deagle. Everybody hates her.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, oh, and that dude, the first guy who greets her always made me laugh as a kid. And he's like, "Good morning, Mr. Deagle," and she's like, "What's good about it?" And she's like, "Oh," like he's always made me laugh. Like every time I saw him, he was just like Poindexter. Oh, I mean, I don't know what it was.
Well,
but-
and then like the single mother, or whether or not she's single, I don't know if that. But like when she's talking and she's just like basically shitting on her, like man, I remember that as a kid, like being like, man, this Mrs. Deagle's mean.
Well, and it's so funny. Her power in that town is ridiculous. Like when the whole time when she brings up, I want your dog," and she's talking to Billy,
yeah.
and like
just
and the
murder your
dude
dog.
and the dude behind him, and she's telling the story is like, "I'm gonna blame and they'll put him to sleep," and the guy behind him, he's like, "Well, yep, that'll do it."
Maybe I'll put him in my spin dryer on high heat.
That'd do it all right.
Yeah.
It's like,
That sure will kill his dog.
oh shit.
It's a weird town.
It's like, what the fuck, man? What is this town? I don't know. It's like she's got to be that menacing and that scary that these people are like, oh yeah, whatever you say, that's the way it's gonna be.
Yeah, see, so I guess they set up things because they were trying to set up that the town was kind of bad off. The people were kind of poor type people. I don't know. There's certain things in the movie I just didn't understand why they needed to be there, other than just filler, I guess. But
Well, the original movie ran 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
I did not know. Wow, that is a
have you any idea if they
movie.
cut? Do they? I don't know if they do that back then. Did they put that on any kind of like cuts where you can see?
I don't
any
know.
of the
Joe
deleted scenes and stuff?
Dante is the director, and
That's a shit ton of footage that you
That's
don't
a
get
lot
to
of
see.
footage, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
The whole thing is what, like an hour and 46 minutes?
Imagine if some of
Yeah.
that's spent with animatronics, that's a lot of money they spent on all that time too, to put out an hour and 40-minute movie or whatever it was.
yeah, no doubt.
It's interesting. They did. I mean, the Gremlins, as far as the actual Gremlins themselves, with the makeup and the animatronics and I guess it's not called makeup on or costume. What would you call?
Well, this is
that part?
animatronics, pretty much. I mean,
For the Gremlins themselves?
Yeah, the actual look of the Gremlin though, because they were, like you said, they were all kind. They all had a different. The aesthetic of the Gremlin was different. They all had a kind of a different feel to it, like you said. Stripe had the
I
mohawk.
would say
and
subtle, but they all had the same expression. You know, they were
Yeah.
all just kind of like like a happy You know, there was no frowning.
so I mean, I
really.
guess you would think that, I mean, they cost 30 to 40,000 a piece. I guess really, if you think about it, you only needed about maybe 10 to pull off different different facial expressions and maybe
you can just put
Yeah.
different face on them too.
You
and
know
they
what I
would
mean?
still have the
of
same.
the actual animatronic
Yeah.
ones, and they probably had like dozens of just
faces,
little
different kind of
little
faces,
models
yeah.
that they like hung from chandeliers
because
and swung around.
I mean,
you know?
there's that one scene that actually it has
in
to
the bar there's like 20 of them, like 20. I mean, maybe those are my eyes playing tricks on me, but it sure seems like there's more than
There was quite a bit in there for sure.
It felt like there was like 30, but I mean that's a lot of movie shots you can film. I don't know, but I mean I'm just speculating. I know, but there's that one scene that actually I am curious because they mainly say that this is.
Is it the scene when they're coming out of the darkness?
Yes, there's and they're just hot. That's got to be like stop animation or something like
wondering.
that, but they don't really credit anything for it.
Like, where's our resident stop animation expert?
Yeah, it's like exactly. But still,
because it wasn't computer generated. It wasn't like a CGI type thing.
And that's what they're saying. All live. It's not. Puppets. That wasn't available then, so everything was animatronic.
I felt like that was
and puppetry.
Dude, I felt like that scene definitely seemed like it was stop motion to me, but also I felt like there was other scenes where there was the animatronics just being really slow and not. Impressive.
And maybe that, and
that looked like stop motion.
It looked like they sped the shit out of it. So it could have been like them literally like walking like this, and then they just sped the shit out of it.
I think that's probably what it was.
It could have been.
A good call.
I know. Yeah. I mean, like I said, having Josh on, it didn't change me as far as the stuff goes. But I watching it in 2017, I freaking loved the animatronics in that movie.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was fantastic.
Well, every time they opened a cupboard and went, oh fuck. I mean,
I don't know if I changed. I don't know if my opinion on it changed since a couple weeks ago or a couple months ago when we did the podcast. But I thought it was. I really thought it was really good. They had some really good emotions with the Furby looking guys. I thought they did a great job with the animatronics and it.
So that's awesome because usually Chris does his would a movie hold up today, and I totally think that Gremlins definitely holds up still to this
day. We talk about every single movie we do. We talk about this, but I love that real stuff. It's just it's a different feel, and you can and I actually enjoy it. It's you can tell it's animatronics.
Even when it's cheese ball, I still love it because that's where shit comes from.
Yeah,
and I mean this movie had a modest budget. Like when you watch Gremlins 2, where they had a fat budget, like that movie. It's crazy how many different expressions they got out of the Gremlins.
And even Joe Dante prefers. I've read this. He prefers the sequel over the original.
I've asked him. He said, "Yeah."
Oh, did you? Okay, good. I'm glad he responded to your.
Is in the sequel? Is there a scene where a gremlin gets chopped up by a fan? Because I remember I remember thinking about a scene where something gets
like a house fan.
Like a house fan goes through a house fan and just sprays over the wall. And I remember waiting for that scene in this movie. It never happened. And then I thought to myself, this wasn't nearly as gnarly as I remembered. I know I use that word, and it's kind of a vague word as far as what gnarly means.
Well,
but
if you're basing it off that one fan scene.
Well, the worst thing that happened was like the microwave. I don't even know.
Well, the microwave you got.
There wasn't cuss scenes, and even the death scenes. As far as when the humans died, it wasn't that bad. And the Gremlins. I mean, you can do a PG for blowing up Gremlins in the microwave. That's not a big deal. Yeah. So I'm trying to think of where. I remember it being like, I can't believe that got a PG rating. What movie did we watch what did we do a couple months ago where it had a rating like the same movie? It was a low rating where it was like, man, Beetlejuice had a low rating.
Well, it had a very low rating and it has swearing.
I remember watching that movie and thinking, wow, I can't believe this. I remember thinking I can't believe this is PG, and then I watched, just watching this recently. And I remember before I watched it thinking, I can't believe this is PG, and now I watch it like, oh, it's not nearly. I mean, there is some scenes,
it's not necessarily like what happens to the Gremlins. I think it's like things like
there's no sexual scenes.
A good example would be like when Stripe attacks Billy near the end with the chainsaw. I think we're getting into like it's violent, not necessarily graphic or gory. Okay. It's becoming violent.
Yeah, the Gremlins trying to kill him.
Yeah. Right, when you're coming out, he's shooting people with bows and arrows.
Because I let my son, who is only 4, watch the first 20 minutes of this with Gizmo. Because I was like, why not? There's nothing really wrong with the first 20 minutes. But then when he starts like getting water on him and things get a little weird,
it gets a little bit uncomfortable.
That's when it's like getting and even that seemed a little bit too much for him. Like to see Gizmo because he's kind of suffering. He's like,
for sure.
That's true. When the balls pop off of him, he's kind of screaming and
then from there it's like it just it gets progressively more.
That's an interesting way to look at it because I don't have children, so it's interesting. It's actually a good way to base it. I think. I mean, if your kid's not 13, so
right, yeah.
I mean, I don't know what PG goes up to. I guess it goes up to 13.
PG, basically, you can watch anything up till 12 years old without a parent. Because
it is the whole rating system is really weird for me because it is. You're right. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of implied violence.
Right.
Tons of implied violence.
I think that's where it comes from.
Okay.
More so.
There's barely anything. Gore. There's nothing else. I mean, there's literally nothing else.
Yeah, and at this phase in my son's life, the one thing I like, he can't rationalize the fantasy of this.
Right.
So like I think that's when it's like when a kid can figure out that this is just make believe.
Yeah.
Then I think it's like
And that does take a while.
That's a good point. Yeah,
that does take a while. But I guess say it's like a dog got splattered, I'm sure it would be a completely different rating. Compared to like a gremlin being blown up in a microwave.
Yeah, there was definitely the gremlin demises in that movie were pretty.
It's kind of like it's kind of like okay, these are make believe characters, so we don't have to go that route. But I do have a question though, because the one part of the movie that I was kind of wondering about, so I'll ask you guys. So when Feldman's character Pete spills the small glass of water on Gizmo and he pops out and all that stuff and all those things, and they needed to go through the pupil stage.
Yeah.
Okay. Or the putrid stage or whatever they call it.
They call it the captions.
But then when Stripe jumps into the pool, it was instantaneous. So do you think it's because it was a massive amount of water, or is it because he's not the cute, cuddly, furry type? It's like he just produces new little dudes and they run everywhere.
That's a good question.
Because that's the one aspect I was kind of like, okay, so they don't need to go through the putrid stage. So maybe it's because
it's because he's already there.
Okay.
That's because it seemed like at the end with the fountain, it was going to be like he was going to be able to produce new.
Right.
No, it didn't. It definitely didn't explain why it took the first set so much longer than the second or third set.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the first set it took them a solid couple days to. They were little Mogwais.
At least 12 hours, I would say for sure.
But the question, I mean, like when they go to Gremlin, like when they get water on them, there's no Mogwai.
I don't think there's
straight.
But
to
but
no
they didn't go stage. Maybe
they didn't go to Gremlin from water. They went to Gremlin from eating after midnight. That's what turned them into Gremlin.
When the Gremlin reproduced, he jumped in a pool. Remember,
right?
So
that should have just created a little more Mogwai, and then they shouldn't have been actual Gremlins until they ate after midnight.
But that would mean that because when they show them growing in his back, they look like Gremlins. They're not like Mogwais.
Right.
I don't remember seeing.
We're talking about the differences of
the
populating part.
When he's in the fountain and he's like got him like growing on his back.
Right. I remember seeing little gremlin faces.
Yeah, I just thought it was like okay,
there's with the claws. Like they don't look like they're going to be Mogwais.
I just thought it was kind of an interesting aspect of that. I was like, okay, so there's no putrid stage or pupil stage for the. I don't know. Okay, that's what Feldman said. He's all I don't remember, but it was like pupil stage. Well, that's damn it.
You know what? That was probably talked about in the extra 60 minutes of the movie that wasn't included because I mean there was a lot of stuff they didn't include the questions like that you had. I had that question as well. I didn't understand why when Gizmo did his balls they were nice. They took so long after they ate then they turned into gremlins. Because they were still Gizmo balls.
Or like why Bill?
I mean, like, they were.
They should have. I don't understand why they went mean to begin with. And then his obviously were going to be mean. I thought they were going to be gremlins because. And
it was almost like he knew they were going to be mean. Like when they came out of him, he was just looking down, shaking his head, like, here we go again. Here we go again with my evil offspring.
I think one of the weirdest things, and I don't know if a lot of people caught it, but you had to have, but you haven't said anything about it, is that Fetterman was that Futterman. He talks about actually having these things in like Korean War or something, like the World War II or something, where the gremlins the little tiny gremlins would take over would disable your truck, or they'd get in your machine gun and slap your machine gun, or
You mean when he's drunk outside of the bar?
Yeah, he had talked about these gremlins. Like he was he knew about these existed.
Gremlins. You gotta watch out for the foreigners because they plant gremlins in their machinery. That's the same gremlins brought down our planes in the big one. They're still shipping them over here. Put them in the cars, they put them in the TV. They're teeny gremlins for the watches.
I don't think it's such a good idea that you drive. Why don't you walk home?
Katie, I think maybe I'll walk home. Good night, kid.
Good night.
Gremlins.
Well, have you seen that Twilight Zone episode, right? Like with the quote-unquote gremlin on the wing of the plane.
Yeah.
So I think it is like in folklore, a gremlin it's like something that could, like you could blame like a problem with mechanics on. I don't know.
Yeah, but it was just weird to me that I thought they were, and once again I really think that would be in the extended cut of those minutes, because why would they even bring him up of knowing about these gremlins and when he was in World War II or I forget what war it was. but he had heard of them. They used them against the American Marines.
The Korean War.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. So it's just interesting to me that they included that part where he had already talked about he was just the drunk no one listened to, but he knew about these gremlins. They were actual things that existed. So they added some weird things that I really wish that they would have just gone further. I'd watch the 2 hours or 40 minutes.
You're right. There's probably more to it because it's like, why would he mention it? Because it does seem like that would be interesting if like they had some flashbacks, like you know.
I really thought watching through it, I really thought he would be the guy that like knew how to beat them.
Instead of getting run over with his tractor.
Also,
that'd be great. Like I've encountered these before.
Yeah, and you asked this question earlier, or you asked a question, Jason. So I'll ask you back. What I don't understand is why didn't every gremlin just jump in a swimming pool? Why didn't they just all reproduce thousands of gremlins?
It must have been like a hierarchy or something.
Yeah, well, or they're just like.
Well, Stripe was the leader of the second coming of, but I don't.
And he was the only one that seemed invested in reproducing. It kind of seemed like all the others were just, pleasuring themselves. Whether it was terrorizing people or drinking
in some way.
I guess it was just weird that he came from Gizmo, and then everything else came from him. Like there was just I don't know.
Yeah.
I wanted Gizmo to pop out like a good one or something.
Well, apparently in the original story, there was no Stripe and Gizmo. It was that Gizmo turned into Stripe.
Right.
See, now it would make more sense. Yes. That would make a lot more sense to me because it's just weird. I don't know the whole dynamic of the bad gremlins to the one good gremlin.
Yeah,
which wasn't a gremlin. Maybe when he went gremlin, he was bad.
Yeah.
But even the gremlins that started, they were little bastards.
Yes.
They were puking and spitting and throwing stuff.
Yeah, they were all bitches to him.
So they started out being little bastards. So I don't know. The whole storyline of them, breaking your cars and stuff, and then at the end he has that soliloquy or whatever where he says, you gotta if you ever have your remote control that doesn't work or your refrigerator's leaking, you can think it's these damn gremlins or whatever.
Yeah.
So here's another question then, because like as a rational mind. When you're like, I want to get this cute, cuddly thing as a Christmas present for my kid. Yeah, as a dad, you'd want to do that for sure. But then, the buying process, the whole buying process, when like the kid gets, he gets the $200 and then he tells you the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that not make you say, well, maybe I don't want this motherfucker? It's like I don't want to take this home because that's like some odd ass rules.
Yeah, like thanks, mister. Okay, so here's some rules.
Yeah. I know, and the weird part about that to me was he was like the kid told him the rules and the father was like, okay, yeah, I get it, boy, I get it. And then he gets home and he's like, listen to me, son, it's very important.
Yeah.
Do not feed him after. I'm saying, do not feed him after. He like didn't care when the kid was telling him, but nowadays home was like, this is fucking important.
Seriously, like sunlight kills him.
Yeah.
Don't ever get water him. Don't even give him something to drink.
Yeah. He was so stern about it, but
ever feed him after midnight. Like that's fucked. It's like no, I don't even want to get involved with this shit.
The dynamics doesn't make sense. How do you not feed something after midnight? When is after midnight?
When is midnight?
Like
what?
When can you feed them? I just
what time zone do we run on?
Sunrise, you can feed them now, but they ate at nighttime.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why can't they just eat something on their own? So they only turn into gremlins if they're fed.
Yeah, if they're fed.
No, that's not true because the guy left his sandwich and he ate
after
sandwich
midnight.
And turned into
after midnight.
Right, but I don't. So if they couldn't just eat a remote after midnight and turn into a gremlin, I don't understand.
And like I said before, there's no way you can be a stoner.
There you go.
There's no way you can be a stoner and own a gremlin or a gizmo. Because you're damn well for sure you're going to turn that shit into a gremlin.
Right. But if the gremlins are stoned, they probably wouldn't have been as much a bastard. So.
That was a good one, man. Whew. Okay, it's your turn. Your turn. You go. Yeah. Hey, there you go. Man, I'm hungry. Are you thirsty? I'm thirsty. But no, I'm more hungry. I know we should get some. Oh, we should get some pizza. Yeah, I'm gonna get some pizza. Here we go. I'm gonna call. Here we go. Ready? Man, I'm stuffed. It's a good night. Well, I think I'm gonna turn in, little guy. I'll see you tomorrow. Good night. What? Hey, what's going on?
I love that they were watching a Disney movie too. But out of all the movies they could have picked, it was really. I don't know why they picked
Snow White.
Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Do you know
picked
the significance
Yeah,
of that?
they picked it because it was just more like a correlation with when the timing of the movie was supposed to take place.
Right.
It's like, it's supposed to be winter,
right.
Christmassy. So it's like the Seven Dwarfs or Snow White came out in the Christmas time in like the 30s. So they.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if there was any correlation.
It was just more like, hey, it's a Christmas movie that they're
Because the best part of
they're
that
showing
was,
in the 80s.
Yeah,
so,
the best part of that scene was Gizmo outside humming the. Such a cute little thing. I want that little.
I always wondered how heavy that backpack was that Billy was wearing the whole time. Because it's there's might be more animatronics to it than just the Gizmo there.
Yeah, as far as what he's really carrying.
Batteries down in there.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Well, he never really popped out it was probably just like a limp ass bat. He might have had a sack lunch in there or some shit,
True.
Because every time he popped out, he was on the desk or something, so somebody could animate him probably. But
yeah, there was two. I think there was 2 police officers in the whole city, in the whole town.
There really was only 2.
Yeah.
And then nobody fought back. It was just like you said. It was the most passive, weakest town of all time. Nobody fought back. Every single person just got a box thrown at them and fell over.
They're all drunk. The whole police force was drunk that night.
All 2 of them.
And they didn't believe anything, and then they go, and it was great. The Gremlins come out on top of Santa, and the whole time, their little fuckers are underneath there cutting the brakes and shit, just getting ready. And all they wanted to do as soon as they see this shit is let's just not help anybody. Let's just go back to the station.
Yeah, the deputy's like, can we go back?
Yeah, that's such a weird.
He had no desire helping anybody.
And then you had the old cover up at the end where. Wow, it was a...
Well, no, let's... Okay, the death of Mrs. Deagle, though.
Oh, yeah.
I remember seeing her coming down the stairs in that fucking chair, and I'm like, oh, I want one. Because I grew up in a house with stairs, and so did you. It's So when I was a kid, this movie was 84. I was 6, or I was 5 when this came out. So it was you wanted everything in this movie. I wanted the stairs thing that came down.
I wanted every single invention he made too.
Exactly.
Half of them were really cool. A couple of them were actually used today.
That's a good question. What's your favorite invention that he had?
Favorite
out of all of them, because he had.
I think as a kid, the one I liked the most was the hammer.
The hammer?
I like the fly swatter. Is my favorite.
The fly swatter was good. I'm still. It's I think because it provided so much great comedy relief. I like the smokeless ashtray.
You know what's funny though is those exist today. I bought a smokeless ashtray. Those are real. Those are real. Another thing that's real is I'm pretty sure he invented the Keurig. He had that automatic coffee machine that didn't exist back then. That was an invention he made.
That's true.
And that exists now. So the Keurig and the smokeless those are both from that movie.
Yeah.
And I swear I love that fucking sound. I love that sound that every time it starts to malfunction, it makes the same sound.
And Mrs. Goddamn, what's her last name?
Peltzer.
She's a great, supportive wife of his,
his shit.
Yeah, he was worthless, but she laughed along with him, and she was there. Every misfortunate mishap.
In the bathroom buddy. I love it when he's at the convention and he's calling her, and she's like, and there's fucking robots in the background. He's like, the competition's a little stiffer than I figured.
The industry has moved a lot faster than I expected.
Like a Swiss Army knife the size of a basketball.
Not a convenient instrument he made.
But with that said, there's a couple things that made it to today. So.
Yeah, well, that bathroom buddy though is hilarious because you can tell it's one of those things where it's it probably started as just a couple of things, and then he was just keeps adding
everything you possibly can need.
Because he's like, check this out, let's say you need a shave, and he's like, tick, 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 the whole thing is just comic relief, like we said earlier.
I always like to in these type of movies where they need some kind of comic relief, so they press a button and the the shaving cream shoots in his face or whatever. But it shoots for 4 seconds, and Billy doesn't ever move it. He's like, oh. It's so silly, but it makes me laugh, so I guess it works.
Yes, and that's what I was saying. Is he, besides him being the narrator, his character was all just comedy relief.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, it wasn't. He was actually not even in the film, but his inventions brought the comedy relief to the whole film.
I hate to say this, but I think the most pointless actor in the whole movie was Feldman. Other than him spilling the water on them, I don't understand why he was even. I mean, he was a tree for most of it.
Feels like that was just kind of like the thing, you know. I mean, like it, you know, even with Last Starfighter, there was always like either a brother figure or like that little kid that always looked up to the older.
I guess you're right. That was
you know, I mean, you know,
that was a '90s thing or late '80s thing.
It just kind of seemed like that was always like that. But I mean,
I enjoy him. He just didn't really add anything to the movie.
No, I agree with that.
It would have made more sense if like Billy had like a friend over, you know, not like, I mean, because I'm not saying that Billy and Pete aren't friends, but it sure seems like the age gap there is like if they're not brothers. Right. Like what are you doing hanging out?
No, that's not true because it's a small town. I lived in a small town in Montana with my mom when I was younger, and I remember hanging out with older kids for sure.
No, I was gonna say I was.
So I think that's a small town thing.
I think everybody's Pete at one point. I mean, I even had a kid across the street who was like 6 years older than me, and I went over to his house.
Yeah, I guess everything.
He's a relatable character
using his 3D glasses.
I think it's a small town thing for sure. Because I mean, living in Chico, I don't know if you'd see a 4-year-old kid going over to an 18, 19-year-old kid's house, and I guess he wasn't 4. He
was like about 12.
I'm not good with age, but
you know the character that we need to bring up, and we almost forgot is Judge Reinhold's character.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, Gerald. You know the bank.
Elsa, this is a bank, not a pet store. Very good, Gerald. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
You know, his whole scene when he's in the bar, and by the way, Billy is a bitchin' ass artist.
Yeah.
You know, I would like to see some shit that he was working
on comic books.
Yeah. But Gerald, you know, the whole, I mean, he's just like, you know,
pompous son of a bitch.
Exactly. You know.
Yeah, he's like, I'm 23 and I'm a manager.
Yeah, exactly.
25, I'll have so-and-so's job.
30, I'll be a millionaire. Is this pre or post Fast Times?
Post.
Is
Post,
it?
yeah.
Okay, so because they were in it together too, Phoebe Cates.
Yeah.
So like I said, I was 5 when I watched this, and I remember I was like, you know, so I remember when I found out his name, or I didn't know his name, and I was like, wow, they have an actual judge as an actor, and then I found out his name was actually Judge,
I think
and I was
Judge
so
is a cool name,
so disappointed. I was like, I thought he was a judge and an actor. You know?
Judge turned actor.
This is amazing. No, yeah, and then I found out his name was Judge. And it's weird that Joe Dante like says that he prefers this one over the second. I can't honestly tell you a fucking scene that I can remember from the two. From the second one, besides like the flying gremlin or something. I never really watched that one like at all.
Oh really?
I know.
Is that the one where do they all have like different special powers?
Yeah, because it's like there's.
I watched a skit. Someone was making fun of it. We're like, let's just add everything we can on. I forget what movie it was I was watching, but it made it sound really silly, so I never checked it out.
As a kid, it was great. I remember seeing it in the theaters, and it was actually like, you know, it was less violent than the first one, but still violent in its own way. It was just what it was. It was less terrorizing because in the first one, it's like they terrorize a town.
Yeah.
In this one, it's like they take over a corporate skyscraper, and it's more comedic, you know, like this one, like the first one was comedic, but not like in a nuanced way, you know, like they all have the same expression, you know, and it's like the only way they can give little nuances is by like, oh, this one's got a hat and this one doesn't. This one's got a scarf.
Yeah, and
know?
they had such a bigger budget too, and I was like,
well, it's crazy. Could you imagine?
It just wasn't memorable enough for me to like continue.
I never tried. I just never gave it a chance.
Yeah.
Could you imagine what this movie would have been like if they had gone a different direction and got Tim Burton to direct, like they had originally wanted to? That'd be. Could you imagine this movie as Tim Burton as a director?
It would be crazy.
Well, you know what? You know what's funny though? I can totally see Danny Elfman scoring the shit out of this stuff.
Oh yeah,
you know, I could everything. I can see
there is a universe where that movie exists.
Oh shit, I can see Elfman all over this picture. You know, and that's the funny part
for sure.
I can't do. I think it'd be fantastic with him. I love that. Some of the sounds actually came from some actual notable sound guys. Some of the sounds from Gremlins, like Michael Winslow, some of the
Michael Winslow and
I forget
Mandel. Howie Mandel.
Yeah, he did. That's awesome that they actually used noisemakers, professional noisemakers as the people too.
Well, come on, I mean, like, you know, Michael Winslow, if I'm not mistaken, is in Police Academy. He's Mr. Sound Effects man. So I mean, it would be impossible. He is
the man. Yeah.
It would be impossible not to use them, and it was so funny that I found out that he was in it because, you know, I mean, I just watched Police Academy the other day, and it was like, I love that. I love that they finally put that shit on there.
All right, so I have a question for you.
I'm so ready.
movie came out on the same day. I want to know what you think's better. Ghostbusters came out the exact same day. Ghostbusters or Gremlins? Because I thought this is an interesting pair to come out on the same day. If you think about it, it seems. I mean, they seem pretty close, but so different. Who do you think's better? Because I would actually say I like Gremlins more than Ghostbusters. I know there's a lot of Ghostbusters fans. People love Ghostbusters,
dude.
But I actually think that I actually like Gremlins more as far as the silliness, the weirdness of it. It's nothing like you've ever seen before. The storyline was cool. They're cute as shit, and then they're crazy as shit.
Yeah, but
I don't know,
Bill
man.
Murray.
There's no Bill Murray, but I don't know. That's a good question, man, because they are like totally different. They're totally different aspects of a paradox. I mean, they're
different movies. They came out
completely
the same day,
different, and that's what they were talking about. How like that's why they went for the summer release instead of the Christmas release, because they didn't really feel like they had any competition. Well, because they are probably two separate. I don't know, man. That's a good question.
You know what's crazy is it's like I feel like I would probably show my kid Ghostbusters before I'd show him Gremlins in its entirety.
When was the last time you watched Ghostbusters?
There's some freaky ass scenes.
There's some pretty creepy scenes.
Freaky ass scenes.
That's true. It's freaky. I was just thinking violence, but I'm like,
there's not a lot of violence.
That's why it's a difficult question because
they're just different.
Overlooking the freakiness.
They're different movies.
You're dealing with ghosts, and there's some freaky ass scenes, and then you're dealing with monstery.
I'm trying to think if I went back and watched, say you were born that day. You guys were. Say you went back and watched those movies. Back to back, came out Friday. You watched it Friday and Saturday. I think I would like Gremlins more coming out of the theater. I know that might be asinine to say to some people, but
no,
the entertainment value of Gremlins was better to me.
Dude, I don't know, man. That's too tough for me.
It's hard because I do love and I'm a huge Bill Murray fan. I mean, I'll be the first to admit Bill Murray's the guy.
I'd say it's just like
I feel that there's way more comedic relief in Ghostbusters than there is in Gremlins.
There's some. I mean,
I'm just
most of it's the silliness of the Gremlins.
To narrow it down, and I probably say because it's so difficult, I probably would go with Ghostbusters.
I would just say Ghostbusters is more of like a comedy where it's like there's a lot more like light. Like, dude, the whole scene with Kate describing the death of her father.
I know, so gnarly. It's hard to compare because it's not Ghostbusters isn't that dark. I mean,
like in
it's pretty straightforward.
Spielberg isn't exactly good at comedy, so it's like he could have done something to like make that moment a little bit more funny.
No, it was not at all. Like there was
instead,
no
it just seemed like Billy was like, well,
okay, well that happened.
I'm not getting laid on Christmas.
It made sense. I understood why she hated Christmas now.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hate Christmas if that happened
totally.
Yeah, there's no way he's getting laid that night. I mean,
no.
None whatsoever.
But he'll still take her out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Chris, your question was very difficult.
I don't know. Like I said, when I read that, I didn't know they came out at the same time.
Because you're right. Because they were released on the same day.
I thought about it. I thought about it last night too, and they're just literally they're polar opposites. They're the same kind of brand of movie. Maybe they kind of have the same horror.
Well, they're a dark sci-fi thriller, maybe. So
but they're completely different.
I'll tell you what. Like I would.
And comedic though.
I would 100% enjoy a like back-to-back viewing of Gremlins and Ghostbusters.
Oh shit! And say guess how you'd have to do it.
Now we got to do Ghostbuster podcast.
I know.
But I don't know. I just thought that was interesting because I thought about it last night a lot, and I was thinking I can't. Like they're just completely different movies, and so
I mean, it's
strange that they came out on the same day and they have about the same feeling as far as what they're about, but they're completely different movies.
Oh, totally.
But if you think about it too at the same time, I guess that makes sense because we're having such a dilemma trying to think about it.
Yeah.
That you re-released. That's why they released it because they're like, okay, we're a completely different movie, but we're going to be equally as badass.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going to see Ghostbusters on Friday, and you're going to fucking go right back and see Gremlins on Saturday.
That's true. You can watch them both.
You're not going to not say I'm not going to go see any one of those movies. So it's like it's one of those.
Well, can you think of any movies now that were inspired by Gremlins? I mean, I can't because I really can't. It was such a unique movie as far as the storyline.
Maybe
and
Critters.
Maybe, but
by Gremlins, maybe or Ghoulies.
I've never seen Ghoulies.
I just seen the cover.
Well, I was just curious because, like I said, a lot of these Ghostbusters had some. There was a couple of Ghostbuster type things in movies that went ahead.
Yeah.
Gremlins didn't really have. I don't know.
No, and I don't think anybody could have like. You can't. It's like that's such a hard genre to like toe the line to be a horror movie, but also be selling merchandise to kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
That's hard. That's hard. That's the only movie you can really do.
Okay, here we go. Billy, Emilio Estevez, Judd Nelson, or the original guy that played him. I like Judd Nelson. I'm a big Estevez fan. I liked Billy though.
I don't care about Judd Nelson. I could see Estevez and the guy who played him.
I couldn't see Judd.
I couldn't see Judd Nelson playing like the passive role, you know, like, or even, I mean, like, I could see him like I feel like is Billy this passive or is the actor this passive?
I think Judge Reinhold was perfect for the doucher. So
for the
that's
douche.
Fine.
Oh God, yeah. I loved his character, even though he was such a dick. I so loved his character. You know, and it's hard to like. I
like Judge Reinhold.
I love Judge. I mean, shit, you got him in Beverly Hills Cop, which he was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
in that movie. So, yeah, I've always been a Judge Reinhold fan. So I mean, that's cool. I mean, even Fast Times, I liked his character. So there hasn't been too many Judge Reinhold parts that I have not liked in some way.
All right, guys, it's time. We gotta do it. I started last podcast. We're gonna do it again. This is gonna be the old Cinema Stash Rehash rating system. I'm gonna start. Chris is gonna go Gremlins. I'm gonna give it a higher rating than I did our last podcast, which is Under Sieged.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna give it a higher rating. I'm gonna go with a 7. Oh. And the reason why is because I'm gonna put nostalgia into it. Going back, Gremlins it's always been huge. Everyone loves the Gizmo. Everyone wanted a Gizmo. I still do.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go with a little bit of nostalgia. I like the storyline, the eeriness of it. The Gremlins were awesome, and I love real animatronics. So add those things together, it'll give it a 9. Like I said, I base I'm a little different on movies. It's not the quality of the movie or the acting and the film of the movie. There's a lot of different things that goes into it.
So what is it?
What? what is the main deal? 7.
Because you said all these knots, and then I was like, so what is it?
It's none of those knots, but everything other knots as well.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No,
you'll understand.
No, I understand. I do. So a 7.
So I give it a 7.
Okay.
What about you?
I'm going to give it an 8.
Ooh, see, you go pretty high there.
Yeah, well, no, because nostalgia is definitely a big part of me.
I agree.
But also, I love the animatronics, like you said as well. I thought the acting was good, and I love the ridiculous comedy relief that even though the actor who invented him wasn't really in it, I love the comedy aspect of the film, especially with all the inventions that just went shitty. I love the dark tones. I mean, just a lot. I love a lot about it. And I even enjoyed the soundtrack. So I mean, for me, it was just an overall base a lot off of nostalgia, probably.
No, perfect, cool. I like that system. That's a good rating.
So, so a lot of nostalgia. So 8.
I too have an 8 for a lot of the same reasons. So I'm not going to repeat. But yeah, I agree with Jason. A lot of it's nostalgia, but there's so many good things about it that are.
You can't really contest much. I mean, we even said that we believe that this movie would probably still hold up today. I mean, if you showed it to somebody.
I think so. Yeah. And I even heard they're trying to make another one. I thought I heard that somewhere.
Oh, probably. I mean, why not? This is actually the reason why we do this podcast, is because we want to rehash the good ones before either cinema ruins them with their sequels, prequels, or remakes.
Yeah.
But we have no choice. So if they make a bad one, we have to remember the good ones.
and that's why we do it.
Yep.
Cool.
All right.
Well,
I loved it. So great rating system. I like that. We should continue to do that.
At least people can know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think the majority of this, I just want to say Merry Christmas. And happy
Merry
holidays.
Christmas. Watch the film. Don't watch The Christmas Story. Everybody watch The Christmas Story. I love The Christmas Story. Don't get me wrong, but
it's a good Christmas movie. But it's not the Christmas. This is the Christmas movie that we.
Yeah. Pick up Gremlins, listen to the podcast, and watch it. And
also, it's a lot more of a Christmas movie than I remember it being. Like, it starts with the Christmas song, for God's sakes.
Although
Gremlins Carol.
I think it's pretty obvious it was like filmed in July with fake snow.
Oh yeah, no, it's fake snow. But it's Christmas, so enjoy it. Thanks.
All right, thanks guys. This is a great time. So we'll see you guys next time on Cinema Stash Rehash.
See ya.
Bye bye. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to Cinema Stash Rehash. Be sure to give us some awesome iTunes reviews, like us on Facebook. Don't forget to check out past episodes and join us next time on Cinema Stash Rehash.